Welcome to Potty Mouths. This is Stephanie.
This is Bert.
This is Brad.
During our cartoon episode, we mentioned fan theories about Inspector Gadget and, what is it, Dr. Claw?
Dr. Claw, yep.
And we had thrown around the idea about doing some fan theory episodes, or episodes. Turns out there is no way to get this in one episode. There are fan theories out there about everything, and some of it has multiple fan theories. So, we decided to break it up in sections. We decided to start with horror movies. So there's a ass load of fan theories about horror movies out there. Obviously, and this is still going to be a long-ass episode, we decided that we'd each choose 2 or 3 of our favorite ones to cover, but we also wanted to mention a few honorable mentions. So one of which being the sacrifice in The Mist was actually needed. Do you guys remember The Mist?
Nope.
Wasn't there like 1980s and then they redid it with fucking Hugh Jackman or something? Or
No, it was Thomas Jane.
Oh,
that's who it is. Off. Yeah, it's on Aaron Eckhart.
Yeah, Thomas Jane, Marcy Gay Harden.
I don't know if I've seen the fucking Mist. The guy that fucking played Punisher.
Yeah. During The Mist.
Spoilers!
Yeah, spoilers. This bitch, Carmody? Yeah, Miss Carmody. She was like this religious fucking freak, and she suggests that the only way to appease the creatures that have come down on the town is to give it up a fucking sacrifice. And she tells everybody that the sacrifice needs to be David, Thomas Jane's son. Little boy's like, I don't know what, 8, 9, 10 in the movie? Mm-hmm. So then they're all trapped in this grocery store, and he's trying to save his fucking kid. She's trying to just chuck him out to the monsters or whatever. And I've always referred to this movie as a good movie up until the last 3 fucking seconds. So the whole fucking planet is seemingly taken over by big creatures, little creatures. There's a mist everywhere. Everybody's fucking dying. Nobody's rescuing everybody. And they run out of fucking gas on the side of the road in the car. And it's an older couple and David, Thomas Jane, and his son. They don't want to be taken out by these fucking monsters, because some of them, if they bite you, you get all infected and shit, and then you blow up, and they don't know how they're going to go. So, besides facing the unknown and all these fucking monsters, he kills the older couple, kills his son, and is about to turn the gun on himself, and then, boom, out of fucking nowhere, the military shows up.
Because the sacrifice had been given?
Because that's the fan theory, that sacrifice was actually needed, and had that dude chucked his kid out to all those monsters early on in the movie, the monsters would have gone away and the military would have showed up and everything would have been hunky-dory to begin with.
So why have they... What's the theory? I'm confused.
The theory is that it was the sacrifice that was needed, that it wasn't just bad timing for him to kill his son and then go to kill himself, and then suddenly the movie leads you to believe that they were like seconds within getting saved, but because of fear he killed his son, and then was about to kill himself. And if he'd have waited, that's what fucked me up through that whole movie. If he'd have waited 3 seconds, the army would have shown up. But if his son, the fan theory, if his son was really the sacrifice that was needed, would the military have ever showed up to save him?
If he wouldn't have killed his kid while they was showing up.
If he hadn't killed his kid. It was the trigger point.
It's like Cabin in the Woods kind of thing.
Yeah.
So, did the monsters need a sacrifice through the whole fucking movie?
It's unknown. That's why it's just
one of those dwindling theories in the movie. Yeah.
I mean, it's also Stephen King, y'all. So.
Yeah, he lets kids have orgies in his books. Like teenagers.
Turtles and shit.
Yeah, the giant space turtle or whatever the hell it's called in there.
Versus the evil clown, yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good book.
Yeah, he has some weird moments in some of his books. He likes using the N-word a lot, too.
Really? I can't. All right, so
you don't hear about him in the media.
I tried to read the Dark Tower series, and I'm like, I
got to the 3rd book, and I just lost interest. I don't know.
I only made it to halfway through the 2nd, and I'm like, I don't even know.
I enjoy the movies. I love The Stand. The Stand's one of my favorites.
I love the new Ed. I thought it was pretty good.
I liked it. I liked The Dark Tower.
Yeah, it wasn't bad.
It wasn't too bad. I like Matthew McConaughey as a bad guy. He's a phenomenal actor.
The Man in Black.
He's a pretty good bad guy. I always find that the best bad guys are the ones that don't always play the bad guys. It's nice to have a little break. But that was one of the fan theories that we kind of, stepped over to pick our own. And we'll mention ours in a minute. There was the one that, does anybody remember The Descent?
They go in the cave?
Yeah.
A little bit.
So, there's these cave monsters, right? But in a fan theory, it's all in her head. And she has PTSD from the car accident, losing her husband and her daughter. And she actually kills everybody in that cave. Which is why the movie ends all fucking weird. With her just sitting there in the dark after having this weird vision of her escaping and shit. So she went apeshit and killed all her friends in this cave.
That seems believable.
That's a stressful situation to put somebody in that's been in a stressful situation.
Mm-hmm. I could see that one.
There's a fan theory that the movie Drag Me to Hell is actually about eating disorders. Now, I don't know the details on this one, but there is so much shit getting thrown up into that girl's fucking mouth throughout that entire movie that I can kind of see that.
I don't remember that movie that well.
Oh my God.
I don't either.
It's just every time this chick screams, something shows up and vomits something directly into her mouth.
Didn't the witch puke something into her?
It was everything. Fly driving, fucking flying by, fucking deer, fucking whatever.
Didn't Sam Raimi do that one?
I think so. Anyway, it was just I'm this is an excessive amount of shit throwing up into somebody else's mouth. I didn't understand it. Now, if the movie actually is about eating disorders, it kind of makes sense. But also, wow, close your mouth. She never closes her mouth. She's just going directly in her mouth, and she's still screaming, gagging on it. Close your mouth.
Gross.
Mm-hmm.
So there's another fan theory that Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory is actually about the levels of hell.
So it's Dante's Inferno?
Essentially. When they first enter the chocolate factory, and there's the big room with the chocolate waterfall. That's one layer of hell, and then when they're on the boat, in the levels of hell in Dante's Inferno, them being outside would kind of be like Limbo, where Dante meets Virgil. And then as they go through, that first room, and then, they're on the chocolate river on the boat, that would be the river Styx. Getting on the boat on the river Styx to go to the other layers of hell, which I think are 3 and 4 and all that other stuff.
Mm-hmm.
It kind of makes sense, but there's also another fan theory about Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory where Willy Wonka's a fucking serial killer.
Now all the kids are killed?
Yeah.
TV Mike,
And that it's kind of the kid chooses how he's going to die by how he fucks up inside the chocolate factory. It's kind of like a Jigsaw thing where he chooses his own fate and then he fucking dies, and Willy Wonka's trying to get rid of the bad seed kids of the world. It's kind of an interesting concept.
They only put out, 7 golden tickets? 8 golden tickets?
I don't know.
I like the 7 Layers of Hell one better.
Yeah, but if you did 30 kids a year ended up missing.
But they didn't do that.
I know.
So you have to really start thinking, what ifs then? I like the 7 Layer of Hell one better.
What is an acceptable amount of missing children per year?
There isn't.
Yes.
That's what I'm saying. That's why that fan theory is a little far-fetched, but, so are Oompa Loompas.
Maybe the Oompa Loompas are really the kids.
Maybe.
He turns them into slaves.
It could be. It could be.
And their punishment when they're not good is the tanning bed.
Yeah.
No, that's a fake tan. That ain't no tanning bed tan. That's a fake tan. That's a really, really cheap Walmart slather that lotion on your skin fake tan. So, Bert, would you like to go first with your first one of your top 3 favorite horror fan theories?
Alright, so there's 3. I won't say they're my top, but there's 3. I'm going to do my least favorite one first.
That's how I'm going to roll.
And that one is the Event Horizon is just part of the Hellraiser universe. So everybody remembers the Event Horizon was the ship in space, Lawrence Fishburne, Sam Neill, and more of the crew. They go find a ship that was able to bend space and time so it can travel from one point to another faster than light travel. But the ship appears without a crew. So Lawrence Fishburne, Sam Neill, and a whole crew go to investigate the ship, find it empty and everything. So spoilers, because I didn't say that before.
Spoilers everywhere.
Spoilers everywhere on this. So the idea is when that ship folds space and time, it's actually the area between that fold is hell. So there's a segment of fans view Event Horizon as a Hellraiser film, Weir, Sam Neill's character, Dr. Weir, even transforms into a Cenobite for the same reason other Cenobites were created, from regret, pain, and loss. The ship's log contains recordings of cannibalism, murder, rape, one person pulling his stomach out through his throat. Weir's vision to Miller contains maggots, brutal impalement, barbed wire, screaming, and blood. Yeah, it was really, really fast, but if you freeze frame or pause these things, you can see this. So go ahead.
It looks.
Yeah, I totally get all this.
It's gore.
So going by the Event Horizon's chaos could be seen as a mix of your average demon world, hell itself, and scary and weird for the sake of being scared and weird. Overall, a lot of people agree the movie fits snugly into a Dark Age trilogy as a story of a ship entering the warp without a Geller shield. So this is from, this whole part of this theory was explained by Molten Bond on Reddit. So people built on this. So this Sam SC2 on Reddit, he says, yep, it's a Hellraiser film, but there's more to it than that. He believes it begins with the Hellraiser series, and then before it gets to Event Horizon, it gets to the movie Doom, where they discover demons on Mars, which in the movie, they explain more as a genetic thing, where the video game Doom actually explains it being demons. From there, it goes into Event Horizon, where the ship's able to start traveling through time and everything, not through time, but through space and time. Because in Doom, they create a teleportation device between Earth and Mars that's instantaneous. From there, this is where a guy gets really out of whack. He brings in the Chronicles of Riddick stories. And he says, this is where the necromongers.
The
necromongers. So necromongers become part of this because they're able to harness this evil devil hell space that the Cenobites and everything are in. And then you go even further into the future. He brings in the Warhammer video game series.
It's connecting it all.
Yeah, that was a little extreme for me. I could see the Hellraiser and Event Horizon somewhat, but I don't see so much the Doom or the Chronicles of Riddick or the Warhammer. So definitely my least favorite. I mean, I like the guy's imagination. This is, like I said, Sam SC2. But, everybody's got their own little thing.
Event Horizon is, to me, very Hellraiser-esque. That's how I would describe it if somebody asked me. Because all that whole NC, what Sam Neill looks like, he looks like a fucking Cenobite. He really does.
I totally go with the idea of that.
I am kind of, because when it comes to fucking dimensions and universes and time, you can do what the fuck ever you want. Ain't shit gotta be canon, because it could happen different ways anywhere. So I would kind of, sort of agree with that, considering that it's very similar in feel. That whole Doom stuff. And the Chronicles are in it.
Should have quit while he was ahead.
Yeah.
He had something going.
But yeah, the most interesting part to me about these fan theories is some of it's not proven. And some things, come together in a weird way because of script rewrites. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So that's just weird. Brad, what's your fan theory?
That Leatherface from a Texas Chainsaw Massacre was really a woman. See, now, right off the bat, there's no fucking way you can buy that with the size of that guy. So this Redditor explains that the behaviors of Leatherface in the movie mirror that of a 70s housewife. Leatherface prepares the food, and we can assume that she also deals with the decorating of the house, with all the skulls and fucking skeletons, all while the family is out working and playing. An example the theorist gives of this behavior is Leatherface's hostile reaction when the freezer has been meddled with. So I guess our housewife's crazy about fucking people getting in their freezers. And
leaving doors open and things cracked and not closing cabinet doors and pretty much anything. Is their office.
So another hint that the Leatherface could have been a female was when he used makeup in the dinner scene. You see Leatherface applying lipstick and blush to one of the masks that he wore later in the film.
So I think this is super sexist. Because I'm like, okay, so he has to sew some of that skin together. So because the Leatherface is a seamstress, automatically a woman? Yeah. I mean, really?
Actually, he didn't even bring that up. So you're making another point.
So that just seems kind of sexist, though,
I can kind of see where they would think that his movements were feminine.
What about Buffalo Bill or whatever?
Women getting ready for dinner and...
I mean, he's just the fucking mongoloid transvestite. Or
I know, it's very...
Have you
Put the lotion on the skin, you know? I mean...
Leatherface was a huge fucking dude. Have you ever seen a woman that big?
Yes.
Like, built like that? Like, I know round, but, like, the shoulders?
Yeah, that's an Amazon-like woman there. Yeah, I could totally see
I mean, I don't know that I necessarily agree with the fan theory.
Yeah, I don't necessarily agree, but I can kind of
see where they would cut. Because, I mean, the aprons, okay, and just like the psychology, when you see Leatherface interact with the male victims versus the female victims, he always treats the female victims better. And he always separates the couples, which is kind of, weird.
Well, Toby Hooper, the dude that directed it and created it, he says Leatherface is a male, but he takes up the role of family members that aren't there, like the wife and mother. He even puts on the pretty face during the dinner scene. Oh, well, yeah, we already covered that, but yeah, so maybe he's just filling the role.
I mean, it could. Yeah, I definitely don't think that guy's rocking a vagina, but
yeah, definitely not.
I can kind of see where the fan theory would come from, and I'm sure if I watched Texas Chainsaw Massacre closer, I could probably pick out a few more things that
it's been forever since I watched the original.
For me, it's only been like a couple of years.
It's probably been a decade and a half since I've seen the original from start to finish.
It's probably my second favorite all-time horror movie. But I guess in the prequels, relaunches, they were thinking about making Leatherface a female. Now, could you imagine that character as a fucking female? I cannot.
No.
That's like doing a Freddy Krueger reboot and fucking having Freddy as a Belinda,
Oh, you see some of the girl Freddy costumes for Halloween?
Oh my god!
I haven't.
Actually, funny thing.
Nice.
Are they?
Nice.
In the third movie, this is in the mental hospital. Do you remember when the mute boy and is about to get freaky with the hot nurse that turns into Freddy? They actually had to scrap most of that scene because originally it wasn't the way it is in the movie. Is he's making out with this hot chick and her tits are all out and everything, and then he looks away and looks back and boom, it's full Freddy. But how they were going to do it was going to be like a transformation. At one point, they had all the makeup and everything done on this woman's body with burnt ass shoulders and a Freddy fucking bald ass burnt head with tits and thong underwear and stuff, and they're like, no, this is too fucking much. So they scrapped that and then went with the sudden, from the naked chick, boom, to Freddy. So at one point, Freddy did have tits.
Yeah, I've seen some of the girl Freddy costumes. They're seductive.
Well, they have Leatherface and Jason ones, too, and it's basically just a fucking t-shirt with a machete.
Talking all those costumes girls dress up as in Halloween, and they pick those.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'll have to look up some of them pictures.
I mean, they sell them at like Halloween Express, and it is basically just a t-shirt dress. No, some of them are just t-shirts. Like Jason's is a t-shirt dress.
Yeah, the Freddy one's a sweater dress. It's a Freddy Krueger sweater, but it's a sweater dress, but it's the hat, the claws, and...
Yeah. Since we're talking about Freddy, my first favorite fan theory for horror movies is that Freddy Krueger is actually Nancy's dad. So there are a ton of fan theories out there about Nightmare on Elm Street. And honestly, because of how they fucked up the rest of the movies, any of them could be right depending on which movie you're watching and which one you're based off of. But this one kind of really, really seemed interesting because I don't think you can prove it either way. So, and those are my favorite fan theories.
Yeah.
So, this is just based off the information that we received in the first one. Marge, Nancy's mom, when she takes Nancy down in the basement to explain to her why Freddy can't be back because they killed him, she says that he was a filthy child murderer who murdered at least 20 kids in the neighborhood. And she says, he's dead, honey, because mommy killed him. I even took his knives. And she shows her the hand with the knives and the glove and the whatnot. So, first of all, I thought that was really fucking weird that she would take a souvenir from burning this dude up. Second of all, in one of the scenes you see Nancy's dad and Nancy's mom arguing. They bought Freddy Krueger's fucking house even though they knew exactly who the fuck he was. That's another weird fucking thing. Like,
I didn't know that.
The dad didn't want to live in that fucking house, but the mom did. Now they're arguing about it. She's taking souvenirs from burning this motherfucker up.
That was in the movie?
Yeah, well, it was in part of the movie that was scrapped at the very beginning. That's when she first sees Glenn from across the street, 'cause she's all embarrassed because her parents are out in the front lawn arguing. Already some weird shit. Her mom's a fucking drunk. She has no relationship with Nancy's father. Supposed father. Oh, and then she mentioned that Freddie was arrested, but that due to a technicality and somebody fucked up some paperwork, he was let free, and that's why they had to burn him. There is also speculation that was actually Nancy's quote-unquote father, the cop, that fucked up that paperwork. And then so she also blamed him for that because now her assumed ex is dead. To get revenge on Nancy, Glenn, Tina, and Rob, they wouldn't know who Freddie was at all. They would have been like 2 or 3 when this shit went down. So how the fuck do they find out about him, period? Parents didn't tell the truth. They kept it all fucking hush-hush. Marge is a fucking drunk, and she didn't even let it... She never mentioned him to anything. Nancy had no problems. And also, too, you know, they always bring it back to, if that fan theory is true, why did they start with the kids? Why not go after Marge? Right? Because that's Freddy Krueger's assumed ex who has his fucking daughter. And it would have started, the nightmares would have started with Nancy because they were living in his fucking house. Mm-hmm. So I developed my own theory on figuring out if Freddy was Nancy's dad, why she would have targeted Tina, Rod, Glenn, and Nancy. Because nobody can explain everything, and the only way that they discredit this theory is, well, tell me why they went after the kids. Okay, so if you go by timeline from when the movie came out to how old they were to how old Nancy was, Freddy Krueger and the rest of the adults in Springwood would have actually have been born in the mid-40s to early 50s, right? Old school world, old-fashioned values, right? What if the reason why Freddy targeted these specific teenagers, not even starting with the one that's his daughter that's living in his house with the woman that burned him alive, is because he's a dad that straight up didn't approve of his daughter's fucking friends. So Tina's got the short hair, she's all 80'd out, she's flirtatious and free and fucking ambitious and stuff. She's having an open sexual relationship with, like, the town badass Rod. He goes after her first. Then he goes after Rod, who's like this fucking petty criminal and the bad boy in the town. And then, of course, he's going to go after Glenn, because Glenn's a super sweet dude that's about to deflower his daughter.
And this is his dad back from the grave and the dreams.
Yeah, this is Freddy. This is if Freddy was Tina's dad or was Nancy's dad, it would kind of actually explain why he targeted the teenagers that he did.
So here are the bad influences that his daughter had around her.
And then, but because he didn't realize that it would take him time after time to get a hold of these kids, they spread the rumor spread, he got power fucking hungry, and then he used his power boost to go after Marge, which is Nancy's mom.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Interesting. It's interesting.
So, I figured that one out on my own.
I like that one.
Fucking Marge.
If you were an evil motherfucker, and you were dead but kind of not dead, and you could invade people's nightmares and kill them, would you let your fucking kids be hanging out with the wrong crowd?
Sure.
You're a great dad, Brad. Great
dad. Okay, Bert, what's your next one?
Alright, so I'm the kind of person that watches a movie. If it's a killer, hack and slash movie, the idea is, who's the killer? You're trying to figure that out. One of the big series that really brought hack and slash back to our generation from the older movies was the Scream franchise. So, I have my own fan theory about Scream 3 and how it was a major script rewrite, and that's why the killers that they call out at the end aren't actually the killers. That was bogus, bullcrap, whatnot, and whatever. So, but one I didn't think of was this fan theory here. And it's Michael Gorehound Vaughn really calls it out. And it's for the original movie, the original Scream, the first one, that Dewey, Deputy Dewey, is the third killer. So we got to hear out these clues, and then we'll discuss a little bit. So the clues: sounds from a ghost. In an early, heart-pounding scene, the killer chases Sydney through the house. She dashes off to her bedroom and uses the new advent of the internet is about to place a call to the police. However, she never sends the call because Billy pops up. Who shows up instead with a ghost face mask, no less? Dewey Riley, of course. Also, watch the scene over again. Why would he hold the mask up like he did? You know how he holds it up to like the...
She opens the door and boom, that face is right there
right there in her face. To further scare and psychologically torture Sydney, it's something we seem to just accept, but if you think about it, it's a very odd thing to do. So yeah, it definitely makes you worry about Dewey. He's either really an incompetent cop, which they really try to play off, or maybe he is the killer. Consider this. Sydney lives in the middle of nowhere, so even if some mysterious person called the police, it would take them a while to get there. Unless, of course, you already knew what was going on. Okay, here's what gets even better. A clue stumbled on myself. So this is Mr. Vaughn talking about this. The fact that Billy's alibi centers around his arrest because of, you guessed it, Dewey and the Ghostface call, which leads to clue number 2. He's got your number. While at friend's house, Tatum's house, Sydney gets a call while Billy is in jail. I know what you're thinking. It was Stu cleverly throwing off Billy's trail. But think about this. Dewey doesn't come out of his room until after the killer hangs up. It seems odd that when his door is banged on, he didn't spring into action as his training would have dictated. So why does he wait? Strange. I can totally see it later. You know, he's trying to make the call.
Yeah, but in the funny one.
Yeah, I know. He's cleaning his wound. He's cleaning his wound. I'm going to get to that because I'll bring that into this. If the shoe fits, several sites, other like horror fan sites, mention that the killer wears police-issue shoes, the same as Dewey. We all scream for ice cream. Sydney and Tatum are strolling in the supermarket, talking about the killer and about the party they're going to throw. You know, the big party they're going on. The ghost-faced killer's reflection is seen in the ice cream fridge. This is a scene I forgot about.
Yeah.
Next scene, Dewey is consuming a frozen treat. Tip-off? Interesting. Because I remember that scene when she sees it, then she looks away and it's gone.
I always forget about that scene because they're all throwing like weird little clues that lead you to believe one person, then the other, and then the other, and then the other. Right after that scene, they show not Dewey's shoes, but the killer's shoes and then the shoes of the chief. Mm-hmm. And that kind of cues you into, oh shit, maybe it's the chief. And that is what threw me off of
well, I was convinced at
him
first
being in there and then eating an ice cream.
that it was Henry Winkler.
The principal?
But it wasn't, so I'm playing. I love Henry Winkler.
He got knocked
He's a
off.
cool guy. He's a cool guy. Alright, the first cut is the deepest. One site debunks this theory based on the deputy being stabbed. But consider this. One of the two things can be played here. One, we know Billy and Stu aren't above stabbing each other to make it look like it was not them. They proved that in the end of the movie. Weird that Dewey is only stabbed in the back and not, say, the throat, chest, etc. Seems to prove rather than disprove. So think about it. Everybody else they kill, it was a neck slice. It was a chest slice.
It was multiple stab wounds.
Dewey gets stabbed in the back. So, still functional, still alive. So, another theory is Billy and Stu meant to kill Dewey because they were betraying him and they didn't want to risk the officer telling anyone. No loose ends. This makes a lot of sense too if you try to put all the puzzle pieces together. In Scream 2, and this is something Mr. Vaughn brings up again, he talks about how Randy really downplays Dewey's injuries in the second one before he gets killed. Mm-hmm. Like, wait a minute, I mean, it wasn't really all that bad. It's an interesting little part if you watch that clip again. Alright, so the keys. I didn't remember this at all, but I'd have to watch the movie to remember it again. But another telltale sign is when Dewey is stabbed, the killers happen to have his keys. This would also support the idea that Dewey was being in it on the whole time. So the smoking gun. At the end, Billy and Stu tell our poor heroine of their plan. Frame Sid's father for the crime and make it look like he shot himself. Okay, obviously this was planned out. However, the gun they plan to use, guess whose gun it was?
Deputy Dewey.
Deputy Dewey's.
Fucking Dewey.
Other facts to consider. Dewey has a knowledge of horror films. When they mention the film Town and the Dreaded Sundown, he quickly mentions about a killer in Texas. I didn't even catch that part, and I didn't even remember hearing about that movie until like 3 years ago.
I caught it.
So motive. Why would Dewey do this? First, Dewey's a cop that gets no respect in a small town. Because he's a piece of shit deputy. Plus, his sister disrespects him, and she pays for it. Sister was played by who again? What's her name?
Rose McGowan.
Rose McGowan, yeah. So she's a bitch anyway, so.
She's
all right.
caught in a damn fucking doggy door.
Yep. She has a machine gun leg.
Oh, God.
Planet Terror.
The movie's awesome.
Yeah. Alright, another theory building off of this. One theory suggests Gail was to be a victim in the grand scheme between the three. However, Dewey had a change of heart and couldn't go through with it. There's a creepy scene where he asks if she is scared as they walk alone. I remember this scene.
To go check on the car accident.
Later on, Billy talks about thinking Gail's already dead. Like he knows she's supposed to be dead, which would lead you to believe that somebody was supposed to kill her, and the only one person that's been with her has been Dewey. So, the Scream 2 part of the theory. So this gentleman's theory is that Dewey has nothing to do with the murders in the second film at all. With that said, there's a major clue that seemed to go over a lot of people's head. It comes from a quote. How do you know my dim-witted inexperience isn't merely a subtle form of manipulation used to lower people's expectations, thereby enhancing my ability of effectively maneuvering within any given situation? I remember Dewey saying this. Mm-hmm. So, you know what I think about this? I think a scary movie. Special Officer Doofy. At the end, right?
Special Officer Doofy is the killer.
He is the killer. He gets the girl at the end, and he's not the dimwit retard everybody thought he was. You know, he was fucking a vacuum when he's cleaning his room.
Told you not to come in my room.
So I give all that credit to Michael Gorehound Vaughn. Yeah, he's on to something there. I could totally see now where Dewey could be the killer.
I mean, like I said,
or one of the killers.
It can't be proven and it can't be disproven.
But I will tell you right now, I still know that in Scream 3 there was a major script rewrite. There had to be.
That whole movie was just...
It makes sense all the way up to the last 20 minutes of it. I knew who the killer was and everything changed. And I'm like, nope, this is not, no. The clues do not lead down this. Not at all. So, I don't remember who I thought the killer was. I'm going to have to watch that again. Pretty
that
sure.
was probably the one. Well, no, the third and the fourth one are the ones I've watched the least. But I think I've seen the fourth one more than I've seen the third.
That's the one with the cousin, right?
Yeah, which is funny. The reason why I like that movie more is because I just like to watch her kick her own ass at the end of it.
Well, see, I like what's the actor's name? He was the one that supposedly killed Sydney's mom.
Cotton Leary?
Yeah, Cotton Leary, the guy that plays him.
He's also in Phantoms. Shriver. I really like him as an actor. I think he's a phenomenal actor. So, yeah, any movie he's in, I'm willing to give it a chance. Just because I really enjoy his acting. Even in Salt. He's good. I like him, though.
I like him, so. But yeah, it's the Scream theory.
So, my next one is, at the end of John Carpenter's The Thing, Childs is actually an alien. Is one of the things. One theory suggests that the alcohol that the two survivors, Childs and McCready, were going to drink at the end of the film before they succumbed to the elements was actually gasoline from a Molotov cocktail. So in that whole last scene, they're gearing up to go fucking kill this thing. And you see McCready constantly filling these green bottles with gasoline to make Molotov cocktails. So I totally see where that kind of makes sense. Why fill the bottle with gasoline and then give it to Childs? It would kind of actually prove that he was the Thing, because the Thing has never tasted liquor before. It probably wouldn't know the difference between drinking gas and taking a swig of fucking whiskey. So if it took that shot and that chug of gasoline like it was liquor, then McCready would actually know that's the fucking Thing. And they say that that's why he gives that little giggle after Childs takes that drink, because he knows, dude just drank gasoline. He's a fucking Thing.
And a lot of people are trying to disprove this theory, because right before Childs walks into the scene, McCready goes and brings that bottle up to his face.
Which I actually came up with my own little thing on that, too.
So there's two ways this could be. The one that we talked about, he was just smelling it to confirm it was gasoline because he was thirsty and he's thinking about drinking. It's like, oh no, that's gas. Or, Stephanie, what are you thinking?
So, This is where my own personal thing comes in. You never see that bottle come that close to his mouth.
No, it's a distance.
So what if, when all shit breaks loose and they go to the shed to get Blair, it's McCready, Knowles, and Gary. The only person left inside the main base is Childs. Because assumably Blair's locked up in the shed. Mm-hmm. When they realize Blair's gone, and there's a weird fucking spaceship built underneath the goddamn shed, McCready looks at Knowles, and they're talking, and he goes, let's just go in there and light the fucker up. You know none of us are making it out alive. Everybody's dead. McCready has killed the fucking alien. Nobody is coming till spring. He knows he's going to freeze to death. What if he wasn't about to take a swig of gasoline? What if he wasn't about to take a swig of alcohol? He was going to dump the gasoline on his head and light himself on fire before he succumbed to the elements.
Definitely a possibility.
So that was my little way of proving that.
Nope, I totally get that.
Also, in the movie, when they're sitting there the whole time, McCready's breathing. It's fucking -30 out, and he's making
You just see his breath.
Like, you can't even see his face. There's so much breath coming out of his mouth. There's not a single wisp of anything coming out of Childs, which would lead you to believe that he's not breathing, even though he's talking and he's living, because the thing wouldn't need to act. It would create lungs, but it doesn't actually need to use them. And also, McCready asked Childs, where the fuck have you been? Exactly. Where the fuck has he been? Because they're in the fucking shed. They go in there to get Blair. Blair's gone. All he's supposed to do is guard the base, and then he runs off into the middle of nowhere after seemingly nothing, and then he comes back with, I thought I saw Blair, and then I got lost in the snow. Bitch, please. Here's where I kind of, got more into it. So where the fuck had Blair gone? And how the hell did the second that Childs took off into the snow, the power went out in the whole fucking base, okay? Blair would actually need to be in the basement, in the generator room, to blow the generator. Mm-hmm. At this point, it wants to freeze to death. No lights, no heat. So, Blair's already been infected. My personal theory is he's been infected most of the fucking movie. Because when he originally freaks out and starts smashing all the communications and everything, and he says it's because he doesn't want it to spread or whatever, that could be a really good cover for him just destroying shit so they can't get communications. Because they realize in order for them to get the fuck out of there, they're going to have to get frozen again until spring. Blair digs his hole into his little fucking homemade spaceship, gets out of there, goes over to the base to go down to the basement, infects Childs then, goes down to the basement to blow the generator. Childs realizes if they come back, they're going to see him in his transformation with parts still fucking changing. So he takes off to go finish his transformation with plans to meet up with Blair, who is also a thing, to get frozen near the fucking spaceship again. And then when Blair never shows up, he comes back and finds McCready. So that's how I put all that together.
Yeah, I'd say the explosions probably encouraged him to come looking around and see what was going on, too.
Yeah, probably that, too.
Well.
Also, there is, in a scene, you can barely fucking see it, where the rest of the fan theory is that McCready actually does kill Childs. At the very end, when it pans away and you see this whole fucking base on fire, there's an extra little spurt of fire where when he drank that gasoline, McCready went ahead and fucking lit his alien ass up.
I didn't see that.
I didn't see it either. Everything was on fire. Shit was exploding all over the place.
Interesting.
But yeah, so I think it's a really good possibility that Childs could have been the thing. I mean, the whole entire movie is based off paranoia.
Yep, I could totally see it. I just wish I knew more about the guy that was with the glasses. I really feel like the way he dies is still too much of a mystery. The dude that was telling McCready that everybody should prep their own meals and probably eat out of cans.
Fulks,
yeah, because he walks out with a flare.
Hold on, how do you pronounce his name? It starts with an F.
But he walks out of there with a flare. The next thing you know, they go outside and they find his body.
He sees the torn up clothes that say McCready on it.
Yeah, I mean that right there just makes
Fuchs. Didn't even have to look it up. Fuchs. Yeah, and then
that's the one mystery of that. But astonishes
when they
me.
find his body, they assume that the thing's does not want to kill you. It wants to consume
So they assume
you.
he kills himself with a flare. But it's like, I feel like there's still something not right with that.
He could have come across.
I think he wanted more money, and Carpenter's like, "Nope, you're dead."
And we're gonna
throw your glasses in the snow, bitch.
And boom.
All right, hey, I saved production. we gotta cut the budget. All right, you're dead.
So, what's your last one?
All right, my last one is my favorite one.
My last one is my favorite one too.
So I was pretty satisfied with this. So let this blow your mind. The movie Signs. Mel Gibson, Joaquin Phoenix.
First of all, how long has it been since everybody's seen Signs?
It's been a while.
It's been years.
Brad, it's been like a year for me, so it's semi-fresh in my brain.
The theory is that they're not aliens, but they're actually demons. And I'll read through what Mr. Christopher Webster came up with on QuietEarth.us. So, let the theory blow your mind. They're not aliens, but the return of demons. Notice that it's all about a priest's resurgence of belief and a preordained moment of redemption if dared and attempted. There is no alien technology or weaponry or clothing of any kind. Only a clawed, naked beast creature and lights in the sky. Appreciate that. Furthermore, there's a running joke throughout the movie as these people see these invaders in what's related to their particular frame of mind. The cops see them as prankster kids. The bookstore owner sees them as a hoax to sell commercials. An army recruitment officer sees them as an invading military. The kids see them as UFOs. And the priest sees them as a test of faith. This understanding of the film removed my hatred of, you've got to be kidding me, they were killed by water concept. In fact, the priest's daughter has been referred to as holy, as revealed during Mel's key monologue. You know, the fact that she wasn't supposed to survive and all that.
And then she was an angel.
Yep. He recognized by all who saw her birth as an angel, and quite particular relationship to water is shown to be very spiritual and spiritual. In other words, in the house, she has placed vials of what are essentially holy water all around the house. And the creature's reaction when coming into contact with this blessed liquid is exactly like monsters and vampires being splashed with that spiritual acid. So I totally get that. Other fan theories just say since it was Mel Gibson's house and he was a preacher, that all the water was holy just by default. And that's why the water burned.
It, though.
Yeah, well, I mean, whichever. But there's a part where Mel Gibson talks with M. Night Shyamalan's character. The man that killed his wife, and he's leaving, and he's saying he's going to a body of water because they seem to be avoiding bodies of water. That little scripted sentence there
kind of blows
really ruins the whole holy water idea. But that's the only part of it that does. Alright, so this view of the movie also explains the creature's actions. They act like superior tricksters, but are not able to break through closed doors. They can be trapped behind simple wooden latches and all mythological elements of demons and vampires like creatures of lore. It also explains the news over the radio at the end of the movie that an ancient method of killing the creatures had been found in 3 small cities in the Middle East. One would suspect the religious hubs of the 3 main Abrahamic traditions, each discovering the mystic methods of protection and dispatch noted earlier. Also, there's a lot of Christian iconography throughout the movie. The references of signs and wonders, the true meaning of the title. The crucifix shapes hinted at everywhere. There's an overhead shot of looking down at the town driving in. And the ultimate fact that the entire movie is built around a priest rediscovering his not abandoned to a random, godless, scientifically oriented universe, but rather his part of a predicted and dreamed of plan. Now, these creatures may have all intent and purpose to be some sort of extraterrestrial or interdimensional alien, but the point of the movie seems to be that they are, in the actually of the film world, the dark stuff from which all the character tales of devils and night creatures were born. My favorite theory because it makes the most sense.
Yeah,
it's an awesome theory for
it. Never occurred to me. I mean, when I first read the fan theory, I was like, yeah, I could see where that makes sense. But then, not being able to turn doorknobs. What the fuck? Alien civilization can build a spaceship to get to Earth, don't know how to work doors.
I mean, look at the thing. I mean, from helicopter parts and some gas tanks, he's building another spaceship underneath the shed. But you can't do it. Turn the doorknob. Nope.
I mean, he traps him in his fucking pantry. Yeah. And then another thing, too. That little weird thing that comes out of his wrist that...
The little poison thing in his brother.
How convenient is it that the one alien that breaks into Mel Gibson's house has that little thing that shoots out of his wrist that pumps his kid with asthma full of this poison fucking gas? And why the fuck do aliens have poison gas in their wrists?
Oh, I don't know about that, but I totally like the idea that they're demons.
Well, then again, why do aliens have acid for blood?
Xenomorphs.
Yep.
Why is Predator blood green and glow in the dark?
Because
Danny Glover's only going to be able to find him if it glow in the dark.
Because he's badass.
So I do want to go back to my first fan theory, talking about Doom and Chronicles of Riddick, the Necromongers and all that. There is a commonality in all those. Carl Urban.
Carl Urban.
So, he was in Doom. He was in Chronicles of Riddick. Just going to put that out there. Maybe that's how that guy was linking all that stuff. I don't know.
Carl Urban is great, though. He's also Judge Dredd.
I'm still trying to... I'm interested because Blair was played by Wilford Brimley, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then he was in Cocoon just a few years later.
Mm-hmm.
So he was an alien. That proves that Blair was an alien. But then he started selling oatmeal. So oatmeal is alien food.
I guess so. Or that's how you become a thing. Eating your oatmeal. My last one. Maybe. My favorite one. One of the reasons why this last one is my favorite one is because it involves one of my favorite movies. And it's not actually a horror movie. It's Home Alone. So there's a fan theory circulating that Kevin McAllister from Home Alone eventually grows up and becomes John Kramer, who is Jigsaw, or the
False.
Jigsaw Killer.
The commercial during the Super Bowl proved it. He's got Google Home. You know, I mean, Kevin's fine.
I thought about this a lot. How to disprove this? Home Alone came out in 1990. Kevin McAllister was 8. Saw came out in 2004. John Kramer, old as fuck. The timeline doesn't match up at all. In 2004, Kevin McAllister would have been like 22 years old. Not an old-ass man dying from cancer. Psychologically speaking, though, I got this. Kevin has anger issues. Craves to be alone because he feels like he can't be with others, but then realizes he needs people. John Kramer had a wife, and she was pregnant with their son, and then the son dies, and he distances himself, and he hides from his wife and the world. Okay? Kevin is crafty as shit. John Kramer becomes a civil engineer. Kevin, in each movie, has one suspicious character that he befriends. So, Old Man Marley, and then the homeless chick, the bird lady from the second movie. So then, he helps them solve their problem and gives them a second chance to be with. In the first one, it was Old Man Marley to be with son. In the second one, it was for the homeless bird lady to trust people again. Okay, helps them realize they can have a second chance. John believes that you must suffer and survive anything to get your second chance and be reborn as a good person. So we got two characters that believe in second chances. The off characters of Kevin McAllister. First of all, kid is left home alone at 8 years old. And I know he seems capable in the movie and there's no cutscenes of him freaking the fuck out. But there's no way an 8-year-old could handle that shit. No way. That's got to be traumatizing as fuck. Any other kid would have been balled up on the floor for hours crying and would have run to that door when the doorbell rang when the police came. So, then he was chased down by 2 career fucking criminals and almost killed not once, but fucking twice. And people say, oh, it's just harm. Those guys threatened to fucking kill an 8-year-old boy. That would traumatize the fuck out of an 8-year-old. Not to mention his dick older brother, Buzz, constantly filling his head with this dark, evil shit. He's really, really nice and polite. He's respectful. He seems like a good kid until he gets pissed off. And then that's all.
And then in The Good Son, he kills his mom. And Elijah Wood, Frodo Baggins.
So,
come on, let's look this shit together. Come on.
So, he hates criminals, but he does not care to hurt bad people. He stops the sticky/wet bandits from robbing a toy store with money going to a children's hospital. So he's pro-kid. Very anti-criminal from a very young age. Watched violent movies at a young age about a criminal who becomes a good guy because he's a bad guy who's treated even worse and then he gets his revenge. So do you remember those little videos that he keeps watching? That's about a mobster getting revenge on people that treat him like shit. Dude's a criminal. And it's justified because they're treating him like shit, but dude's a criminal. Do you see where that mixed morality comes from?
Filthy animals.
Yeah. Also, John Kramer doesn't actually kill anybody. That's his biggest thing. He becomes a killer, quote unquote, out of what he considers to be a necessity and is still against criminals and who he actually does not wish harm. He wants them to succeed. He wants them to earn their second chance. Also, Kevin McAllister, those fucking two, Harry and Marv, could have just walked away from the house. In the second movie, they could have just left Kevin alone, but they didn't. They made their choice. Each one of those traps, if they'd have looked down, if they'd have been diligent, if they'd have done anything, they would have not have been hurt. They triggered the traps on their own by choices that they made, which is very similar to Jigsaw's traps, where there isn't a trap until you create a fucking problem by panicking, freaking out, acting like your old criminal fucking self. It is... He sets up the traps, but you don't have to fall into it, but they do. Same as when Kevin sets up his traps for Harry and Marv to fall into. Also, Kevin likes to record stuff, so does Jigsaw. They make elaborate, detailed plans ahead of time of their traps. Kevin becomes obsessed with Old Man Marley, who he believes is a serial killer called the South Bend Shovel Slayer, introducing him to serial killers early on in life at a young age. And here's the kicker for me. Kevin experiences visual and auditory hallucinations. Whenever he gets angry or he gets scared, he sees shit in his mind, and then that fucking furnace down in the basement where it like opens its mouth and gets red fucking hot and says, Kevin! Those are fucking hallucinations of somebody who's psychotic who may end up growing up and killing fucking people.
I can see that.
From a timeline standpoint, there's no way.
Yep, it don't work.
From a psychological standpoint, I can totally see Kevin McAllister becoming Jigsaw. And I'll post a picture about this, they kind of fucking look alike.
No, I disagree with
that.
that.
Oh yeah? Oh yeah?
I'm looking at them right now. No.
Yeah, no, they look alike. Blonde hair, blue eyes, angled jaw, slender nose, they look alike.
The only connection is Tobin Bell, the guy that plays Jigsaw, was in Goodfellas with Joe Pesci,
and Joe
who's Marv as the Wet Bandits. So
I know you hate that fan theory, but it's one of my favorites because from a psychological standpoint, it is the most interesting and the most damning. I mean, Saw is basically like Home Alone horror style. Also, years later, some scientist, I don't know, work was slow, but he did all these tests and stuff that would prove the actual damage on the human body of Kevin McAllister's traps. And in most occasions, especially the ones that Marv gets nailed with, that's instant death. And when Joe Pesci, Harry, opens the door and he gets his head blowtorched, there was a surgeon and a scientist that said that would have gone straight to the skull and he would have needed surgery to patch up his head. So yeah.
Real stuff.
I mean, it's still a wholesome family movie and I love it. It's still one of my favorite Christmas movies. However, that's some rough shit.
Yeah, I would have killed Kevin too.
Mm-hmm. No.
I would have burnt the house.
See, that's the thing. Like,
I drove by that house.
But also,
another neighborhood of houses.
Another thing too, Kevin, he knew they were coming at 9. He could have waited till 8:59 and called the cops. He could have not gone home.
No, he's a sadistic little shit.
Exactly.
He knew what he was doing.
Exactly.
Because they gotta pay. That's what he says in the movie. I'm pretty sure.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. There is absolutely nothing in my mind that could lead me to not believe that Kevin McAllister could eventually become a fucking serial killer.
I just don't think it was Jigsaw.
I think so.
There's some similarities there, but no.
I think so. I enjoy this fan theory.
What's wrong? I don't know. I just felt like some of the fan theories weren't as good as they could have been. Like, I was really disappointed by the whole Event Horizon. I was hoping it'd be more about Hellraiser, but I couldn't find it. I liked hers about The Thing. I thought that was good. I'm not a big fan of the Kevin McAllister one. I liked The Signs. I thought that was good. I never would have thought of them as demons, but it makes sense. Priest. I'm still trying to figure out where Joaquin Phoenix plays the role. I just don't see where he fits into the whole segment of the movie that much. Could join the army, but he play baseball or whatever, and he always swings, never doesn't swing. It's just,
what do you mean, like from a religious standpoint, what Joaquin Phoenix would have represented?
So, like when I watched the movie originally, It was like everything that Mel Gibson's wife said to Mel Gibson while she was dying, being pinned between the tree and the car, was supposed to play into that last few minutes of the movie while they're trying to defeat the alien/demon thing. Like, just tell him to swing. Don't just
swing away.
Swing away. I mean, it's just like, I don't know.
Well, I mean, it was supposed to be a sign from God because it was, in the end, she was giving him a message from God on how to survive this situation.
Yeah, a year prior to everything happening.
It's supposed to tie into, him finding his faith. But also, too, if we're going to talk about what Joaquin Phoenix's role would be if we're going to make the whole movie more religious instead of alien-esque, I would say that Joaquin Phoenix would have been an apostle.
Don't ever tell him that.
Because
it will go to his head.
Because that was one of the things that they made fun of him for, about how many times he struck out. And he says that he just thought that it was bad not to try. That he should at least try. And to me, that's kind of like an apostle.
I don't know.
That's got that positive, you should always try to do your best, no matter what, kind of,
I enjoyed that movie. I almost enjoyed The Village. And The Village is where M. Night Shyamalan started making really terrible movies. Lady in the Lake was terrible.
Let me tell you what, these movies that I'm all into, and then
really, it's bad. I don't recommend it.
Yeah.
It's bad.
These movies that fuck me over in the last 5 minutes really piss me off, because that's what The Village did too, because I'm all into these fucking monsters and shit, and then she hops a wall and I'm like, what the shit?
Yeah.
Same thing with The Mist. He kills his kid and then the army arrives and I'm like, what the shit? I hate when they tank Ike. I'm so invested. It's like showing up.
It's like somebody listens to one of our pods and then Stephanie tanks it at the end.
It's like showing up to collect your lottery money and they're like, we got a number wrong on your card. Sorry. And send your ass home.
We can't read the date, so we can't verify.
We can't verify
today's drawing. So sorry, Brad. No chef for you. No French maid for you.
After I already took a shit on the floor at work.
So, Brad, what are your favorite fan theories? Because Bert and I talk enough.
I can't remember the thing. I haven't seen it, so I didn't know anything you were talking about.
We watched some clips last night, so it helped. I didn't know the remake was actually just a prequel.
Yeah, see...
I didn't put that together, the new one. It's a prequel to the original. I didn't know that until yesterday.
The Thing is my jam, so I've watched it quite often.
I don't even know if I've watched it all the way through.
Oh, yeah. I've seen it dozens of times. And then I watched it last night.
It was one of those Saturday movies that used to come on Channel 64.
Yeah, I think that's
it was just
the
so
only time
good.
I've ever
Let's mention that, like, for me, it's like the visual aspect that makes me want to watch a movie over and over again. There are two scenes in The Thing that I will never forget as long as I live. One, when the husky dog takes over the other dog and it creates this huge, nasty, dog-faced fucking monster. And two, when the doc goes to use the paddles to...
The defibrillator?
The defibrillator to shock the guy, and then the fucking whole cavity, the chest cavity and the stomach open up with these fucking teeth and bite his fucking arms off. So good. I will never forget those. And it was a creepy-ass movie. It's all cold and shit. Most of it's in the dark. The soundtrack was spot on with like creeps and chills and stuff, and the paranoia, and oh my god, the fucking wanting to rip somebody's arm off, grabbing onto him when he was testing the blood, just waiting for one of those things to freak out.
Mm-hmm.
It was great. Oh, and then when he bites his head off, when the whole head becomes a mouth, it's so good. It's so good. It's gory, it's paranoid, and then of course I love Home Alone. And Jigsaw. Alright, the Saw movies. I thought the first one was pretty good.
First one was filmed in, 9 weeks with a really crappy budget?
So, when somebody told me, at first it didn't look all that great, and then I'm like, well, what's going on? They're trapped in a room. I was like, this is going to be the boringest shit ever. And then Emily, she's like, no, Stephanie, you got to watch this, because she always gets mad when I call things ahead of time. Boom, that's the killer. boom, that's going to happen. She gets pissed off. She's like, you're going to watch this movie, and I know you're not going to guess what the fuck's going on. Half an hour into the movie, I'm like, it's the dude on the floor. And she starts jumping on my bed, throwing shit around, freaking the fuck out. So mad. I'm like, who else could it be? In these movies, you're introduced to the killer within the first like 20 fucking minutes, man. Yep. Who else could it be?
Yep, every TV show, every murder movie, all of them. Within the first 10 to 15 minutes of it, the killer's been introduced. So then it's a process of elimination. Which one is it? Her and I are terrible about that. We're just, all right, we got to figure this out.
She was so mad about that, but I thought it was a good movie. I thought it was a good concept. And then it makes you think, too, what would I saw my leg off for? Or my foot off? And another thing, like, I get that he's a doctor and stuff. Why would he saw off the ankle and not just cut the top of his foot off? I'd rather have a heel there still and cut, flush from my shin through my foot than cut the whole foot off at the ankle. I'm just saying.
I just want to know how it's still able to cut, because after he tried to cut the metal on the handcuffs, that thing should have been dull as crap and not been able to cut nothing.
Yeah, he shouldn't have gotten through it that fast. He'd have bled to death before he'd have got to bone. Because there's some thick-ass tendons in your fucking ankle. That's another thing. If he'd have cut the foot off instead of at the ankle, he'd have missed a shitload of tendons, and he would have gone through a shitload smaller bones. And this is a doctor! Boom!
He only plays a doctor.
Yeah. Well, he played that shit wrong. He should have just cut the foot off.
Maybe there's a fan theory behind it.
Well, now I'm gonna get on Reddit. I don't Reddit, but I am now. I'm gonna be like, how this motherfucker gonna cut his whole foot off?
There are some good fan theories out there. Like there's one for Inception, which I really, really enjoy.
Which this is only gonna be a part one because there are fan theories for everything. We are gonna get.
There's a Star Wars fan theory, Jar Jar.
Mm-hmm.
I was pretty excited about it.
That's one of my favorites.
Yeah, that's an interesting one.
And I believe it, too. It all makes sense. I hate fucking Jar Jar.
I was pretty excited about today, just because it makes me think again about some, just really start thinking about some of your favorite movies, Things you may not have thought. And I'm on lock with figuring out these fan theories. Because I completely figured out Home Alone and Jigsaw. I completely figured out the child's being the thing, and I figured out why Freddy targeted the teenagers that he did.
So I like your Freddy one. That's probably my favorite one that you did.
Like
the thing was good because like I said, I watched the clip with you. I'm like, yeah, it makes sense. The child is an alien too, but the Freddy one's good. I like that one a lot
because that was the one thing that was never explained. Because, the reason why they kept it a secret is not saying his name or whatever. And in the following movies, saying his name and getting other people to, think of him is what ignites the nightmares. If nobody tells Tina who the fuck Freddy Krueger is, how does she start having the nightmares? I'm telling you, she was targeted by Freddy because she was his daughter's slutty best friend. And then he went after Rod, and then he went after Glenn. And, look at how he used Glenn. Cute-ass Johnny Depp. He lured him with a naked woman in his waterbed. He was tempting him, right? Oh, cheat on my daughter. I'm going to suck you in this waterbed and spew this whole fucking room with your blood. He tempted him with a woman. I'm telling you, I figured this whole thing out. I'm getting on Reddit tonight. Hashtag confirmed.
You say so.
I did and I do. Yeah, they never explain that. And it's the things that they don't explain that kind of piss. Ooh. And on another one, we're going to have to get into some fan fucking theories about The Shining. Those fan theories are
really
pretty creepy. There's a whole lot. There's one in particular that, we're gonna have to do part 2 and part 3 and part 4. And we got to get into some Disney fan theories, too. And let me tell you what, everybody better brush up on their Harry Potter, because there's a shitload of Harry Potter fan theories, too.
You have to get another host. Get Hermione or somebody to join you.
Brad, do you watch Harry Potter?
I do not. I'm not yet, anyway. I haven't had the time. I'm not saying I won't, but, yeah.
We're going to have to make sure before we do these that we all brush up on our movies.
Yeah.
And watch YouTube videos on fan theories.
There's a lot.
There is a lot.
All right, how about we wrap this up?
We'd like to thank Purple Planet for our music. Like to let everybody know that we post on Mondays. You can listen to our episodes on Podbean and the Podbean app, iTunes, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, YouTube, Google Play, iHeartRadio. You can contact us or check out what we're doing on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter at Mouths Potty. And you can email us at pottymouths@gmail.com. So if you've got some fan theories or you think you can blow our fan theories out of the water, email us or message us. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe to all our stuff. Screenshot it, send it to us, and we'll give you mad props. This is Stephanie.
This is Bert looking for those flat earthers. Where are you?
This is Brad.
Good night.